So in 9.3, we're going to be evaluating expressions that have both fractions and decimals in them. So let's make sure we understand the relationship between fractions and decimals. So 1/2, right? You want to get it over 10, 100, or 1,000, over 10,000 if we're going that big. And so 2 times 5 and 1 times 5, that's 5/10. Yes, I would like you to have memorized that 1/2 is 0.5, 5/10. 1/4, right? Hopefully you've also memorized this one. 1/4 makes 25 hundredths, makes 0.25. 2/5, right? We can put it over 10, makes 4/10, right? And so that's how to go from fraction to decimal for terminating decimals, right? These were all terminating decimals. Now we're going to go from decimal to fraction, right? 0.5 is 5/10. You simplify that, and it's 1/2. 0.75 is 75 hundredths, right? But we simplify that, divide top and bottom by 25, and it makes 3/4. And 0.6 is 6/10, which we simplify to 3/5. Okay. So say you have 1/4 times 0.5. You have two choices, right? You can convert 0.5 to 1/2 and multiply fractions. Or you can convert 1/4 to 25 hundredths and multiply decimals. And we're going to do both today. All right, so it says state answers as fractions. So because it says state answers as fractions here, we're going to do the decimal on a different page. Then it makes sense to convert everything to fractions. So 0.7 is 7/10, minus 2/10 is 5/10. You never leave 5/10. You simplify it to 1/2. Okay? 3/5. So 3/5 plus 4/10. Right? Oh, actually, we could use the standard procedure and get them both over 10. But 4/10 is also 2/5, right? And then they have the same denominator, right? Any way you can get the fractions that you can make an equivalent fraction and have them have the same denominator, you're good to go. So 4/5 plus 2/5 is 6/5, a correct answer, or 1 and 1 extra fifth. 1/2, now this is times, right? So we're going to make them fractions. It's 1/2 times 9/10. And so, right, multiplication rules, you look for canceling. There is none. You multiply across 9/20. And division is less, right? So we're doing all four operations with both fractions and decimals mixed today. And that's really what this lesson combines, everything you've been learning for several years. All right, so we're going to make 75 hundredths divided by 1/4. Well, 75 hundredths simplifies to 3/4. Now we don't need to do that. I'm going to do it that way, and then I'll do it a different way. 3/4 divided by 1/4 is the same as 3/4 times 4. And the answer is 3/1, which is 3. Now, say I didn't simplify 75 hundredths, right? You would multiply by the reciprocal of 1/4, 4, and then you would cancel, and you'd get basically the same thing. 25 would go into 75 3 times, and you get 3, right? You end up with 3 times 1/1, and that became 1, and you still get 3. Either way, as long as it's a simplified fraction. All right, so there's all four operations as fractions. All right, so now we're going to do order of operations. Still applies. All right, so you always do all your multiplying and dividing before you're adding and subtracting. We're going to state our answers as fractions. So let's convert. So 1/5 plus 1/10 times 3. Okay, so 1/10 times 3 is 3/10. Then we're going to add 1/5 to 3/10, right? You got to get them both over 10. So 5 times 2 is 10. 1 times 2 is 2. 2/10 plus 3/10 is 5/10, which we've memorized is 1/2. Still have to multiply, divide before you add and subtract. Okay, so we're going to make these all fractions. So that's 2/10. Yes, we could simplify. Divide by 4/5 plus 75/100. Now, let's see what we're going to do. We have to multiply first, or we have to divide first, but we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So 2/10 times 5/4. So the 2 cancels. And I decided not to simplify this time, but you could have simplified 2/10 to 1/5 right away. That would absolutely probably make your work easier. And I'm getting 1/2 times 1/2. I'm getting 1/4 plus 75/100. We know hopefully that 75/100 simplifies to 3/4. So this is 1/4 plus 3/4, which is 4/4, which is 1 after all that work. All right, so now we're going to do all 4 operations with decimals. So we're going to make everything a decimal. So 0.7 is 7/10 minus 2/10 minus 0.2, right? 0.7 minus 0.2 is, line up the decimals, 0.5. Done. 3/5 plus 4/10. So 3/5, we're going to make a decimal, is 6/10. So it's 0.6 plus 0.4. And 0.6 plus 0.4 is 1. And I intentionally do that one because I get people on tests who will do that and say it's 10. They don't bring the decimal down, right? That 1 goes carried over to the next column. 1/2 times 0.9. Well, we've memorized hopefully that 1/2 is 0.5. So we're doing 1/2 times 0.9. 5 times 0.5 times 0.9. You get 45. Move the decimal twice. It's 45/100. 0.75 divided by 1/4. 1/4 is 0.25. Right, we can see what's going to happen here, but I'll show the work. Right, 0.75 divided by 0.25. You move this decimal because you can't have a decimal out there, and so that becomes 25. Then we have to move that one the same amount twice. 25 goes into 75 exactly 3 times. This is just 3. 75/100 divided by 1/4. 3/4. This is 3/4 divided by 1/4. How many times does 1/4 go into 3/4? 3 times. So there are all 4 operations with decimals. And now here's order of operations. So 0.1 times 3, right? 1 times 3 is 3, is 0.3. 1/5 is 2/10. Well, 2/10 is 0.2. 0.2 plus 0.3 is 0.5. Here, we have to do our division first. Now 3/5 equals 6/10. So this, I'm going to rewrite this. 0.7 minus 0.6 divided by 2. So we're going to do the 0.6 divided by 2, 6/10 divided by 2. So 0.6 divided by 2, decimal straight up first thing. 2 into 6 3 times. And so we get 0.7 minus 0.3, or 7/10 minus 3/10, which is 0.4 4/10. Yes, and if you want to put the leading 0 there, you may. So let's practice. So the first 2 say state answers as fractions. So 5/10 is 1/2. So this is 1/2 minus negative 1/4 is plus 1/4. Right? We've rewritten this as adding the opposite. We've rewritten it as fractions. So this is 2/4 plus 1/4, which is 3/4. Negative, we put negatives in here. Negative 75/100, right? 75/100 is 3/4, so negative 75/100 is negative 3/4. So this is negative 3/4 divided by negative 1/4, which is negative 3/4 times negative 4/1. The 4's cancel. 2 negatives make a positive. This is 3. So now we're going to do decimals. So negative 2/5 is negative 4/10, also known as negative 0.4. So this is negative 4/10 plus negative 6/10. Now we're adding 0.4 plus 0.6, which once again is 1, but it's negative 4/10 plus negative 6/10. This is negative 1. Negative 0.6 times 1/2, we're making 1/2 is 0.5. Oops. This is negative 0.6 times positive 0.5, right? So 6 times 5 is 30. We have 2 decimals. So it's 0.3, and there was one negative, negative 3/10, negative 0.3 or negative 0.3 if you put the leading 0 in. So here, order of operations, state answers as fractions. All right, so 1/4 times negative 2/5. There's no, oh, there is canceling here, 1 and 2. So 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 5. This is negative 1/10, right? 1/4 times negative 2/5. And then we're going to add negative 5/10. Now I could simplify that, but it's not going to be helpful because I have a 10 over here, right? We have to have these denominators the same. Oh, and let's write this out correctly. So there's this plus is still there. And this was negative 1/10. So this is negative 5/10 plus negative 1/10 is negative 6/10. Oh, but you can't circle that because it has to be simplified. It's negative 3/5. Good luck on the homework.